have some new information, Miss Kate. Can you give us a new...
Mr. Morgan, I'd like to turn your attention to the bullet recovered from the tree in the Spencer's backyard. Was that bullet fired from the Luger, identified as State Exhibit D, and established as belonging to Mr. Edward Quartermaine?
Yes.
Have you determined the bullet to be the one that killed Bradley Ward?
No, sir.
But surely you've run tests.
To the extent that we're able, yes. But without knowing Bradley Ward's exact position at the time of the shooting, or the angle from which the bullet was fired, there's no way to state with absolute certainty that this particular bullet is the one that killed him.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. No further questions.
Mr. Morgan, you did examine the tree, did you not?
Yes.
Thoroughly?
Yes.
Find evidence of any other bullet?
No.
You're familiar with Mrs. Ward's statement as to where she discovered her son's body?
Yes.
And where was that, Mr. Morgan?
She said he was sitting on a bench in front of the tree.
You think she made that up?
Of course not.
Well, then, assuming Mrs. Ward was telling the truth and going by your own expert examination, would you please tell this court where else the fatal bullet might have gone, if not into that tree?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. That calls for speculation on the part of the witness.
I'll rephrase. All things considered, can the bullet from Edward Quartermaine's Luger be ruled out as the one that killed Bradley Ward?
No. Not without an eyewitness to testify as to where the shot came from.
Uh-huh. So what you're offering us here is your highly paid, educated guess.
Objection.
Withdrawn. I have nothing further for this witness.
Trees grow at different rates, and in this case, you've got a lot of ambiguities. But what I'm saying is, the bullet could have entered the tree a year earlier or a year later than the time you're looking at.
I was under the impression that tree rings could determine the age of a wound.
No, not always. And not in this instance. You see, the ring structures were destroyed by the impact of the bullet. And that makes them almost useless as an indicator of age.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy.
Just one question. Did any of your findings rule out the possibility that the bullet did enter the tree on the date in question?
No.
Thank you.
You may step down, Mr. McCarthy. Mr. Stannis, you may call your next witness.
I call Edward Quartermaine to the stand.
Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
We've heard testimony that you called a meeting with Lee Baldwin, Jack Boland, and Frank Smith on the morning that Bradley Ward was killed. Do you deny that?
No.
We also heard that you were upset.
Yes, that's true, too.
Why?
I felt that the pressures we were exerting on Bradley Ward were excessive, unnecessary, bordering on sadism. So I asked my colleagues to pull back and leave Bradley to me.
What was their reaction?
They almost laughed in my face.
Tell the jury what happened next.
I left.
Where'd you go?
To an apartment I'd rented in town.
What did you do?
I tried in vain to go to sleep.
Jack Boland testified that about 30 minutes after you left his home, you called saying the Bradley Ward matter had been resolved.
He lied.
He was under oath, Mr. Quartermaine.
Well, obviously that didn't make a very big impression on him because he lied anyway. I didn't call Jack Boland that night. I didn't call anyone. What I did was go home and toss and turn for a few hours and then finally just get up and get dressed and do some paperwork.
Let's move on to the Luger. Where did you keep it?
With its mate in a gun case in my home on Long Island.
Was the case locked?
No.
Did you take any special precautions regarding the guns?
No. Which seems foolish in retrospect, but it was a different time.
So the case was in plain view.
A blind man could have seen it. And I didn't make a habit of checking the contents with any particular regularity.
Let me call your attention to the time immediately preceding Bradley Ward's murder. Did you have any visitors at your house in Long Island?
Yes, Jack and Frank were there a week prior.
And after Bradley Ward disappeared, did you return to Long Island?
Yes.
And did your partners also visit you during this period of time?
Yes, they did.
So any one of them would have had ample opportunity to return the gun to its case.
Objection, leading the witness and assuming facts not in evidence.
I'm not suggesting that any one of them would have removed the gun from its case, Your Honor.
Well, what were you suggesting, Counselor?
That an opportunity existed for the gun to be removed and replaced with no one being the wiser.
Rephrase the question and I'll allow it.
Mr. Quartermaine, if a person or persons unknown had removed the gun from its case, would they have had a chance to replace it?
Certainly.
Thank you, that's all.
Your witness, Mr. Schultz?
You testified that you went back to your apartment after the meeting with Jack Boland, Frank Smith, and Lee Baldwin.
Yes, that's right.
Straight back?
Yes.
No stops along the way?
That's what straight back usually means, Mr. Schultz.
Is there anyone who can corroborate your story?
No, I was alone.
Where was Mrs. Quartermaine?
At our home on Long Island.
Did you call her that night?
No, I've already testified that I didn't call anyone that night.
With the exception of Jack Boland.
Did not call Jack Boland.
So you're refuting his testimony that said that he received a call?
Well, a call may have been received. I wasn't there. But I can state without equivocation that I was not on the other end of the line.
So you never told Jack Boland that you had resolved the Bradley Ward matter?
Absolutely not.
Gee, that's amazing. It's truly amazing, the discrepancies in your stories.
Not really. Jack Boland was a liar.
Well, unfortunately, Jack Boland is not around to be challenged. Is he, Mr. Quartermaine? Do you believe in coincidence, Mr. Quartermaine?
Actually, no, I don't.
Neither do I. So how would you explain the following? 1, Jack Boland comes into this courtroom and testifies under oath that on the night Bradley Ward met his untimely end, you called a meeting and stated that you would take care of him.
That's
2,
true.
Jack Boland further testifies, again under oath, that 30 minutes after the meeting, you made a call and stated that you had done just that.
And
3, Jack Boland walks out of this courtroom and manages to get himself murdered. If not coincidence, Mr. Quartermaine, what?
Objection!
That is all I intend to sit still for, Mr. Schultz. Now, it's bad enough being railroaded by somebody that you have considered a friend for 50 years. But I will not allow you to make unsubstantiated allegations about me and Jack Boland's murder.
Mr. Quartermaine.
In spite of the fact that I think he got exactly what he deserved.
Exactly what he deserved, Mr. Quartermaine. Your Honor, this goes way beyond battering the witness. I will have order in this courtroom.
Mr. Stannis, your objection is sustained. The jury will disregard this little outburst and it'll be stricken from the record. Mr. Quartermaine, you will resume your seat and be silent until asked to answer. Mr. Schultz, you are dangerously close to spending the night in jail on contempt charges. And make no mistake about this, I will clear this courtroom and refuse entry if The spectators cannot control themselves. Continue the cross-examination.
I have no further questions.
You may step down.
What the hell was that?
That was Father shooting himself in the foot.
So do you still think he's incapable of murder?
Edward, you just played right into their hands. And made my job that much harder in the process. Nice work, Edward. Thanks a lot.